Monday Night Football is here, and this one looks like a fun one. 50 combined points expected today between the Cowboys and the Raiders. Should be a spot where we see some passing game production, see some upside. But of course, the work begins as it always does here on the Splash Play channel for these Monday Night Football DraftKings Showdown slates. We're going to look at projections from our friends over at Stochastic. See who the top plays are, see who the best value plays are for tonight's showdown between these two titans of football. We'll also hop across, well, actually, no, we'll look at ownership as well. We'll hop across the aisle, see what ETR thinks is your cash game lineup, along with some of your best lineups. And if they have sims, we'll run them there. We'll run some stochastic sims. I'll try to do a single lineup sim, hand building, as I always do here. And by this video, you'll know 3 ways to get unique on today's Monday Night Football Cowboys-Raiders DraftKings Showdown slate. Let's get into it here. I feel like my video and audio in sync. I feel like it's been working well lately, and I've been spoiled. And now I'm worried it's fucked up. But it was a good week 11 for you guys. I really do want to quickly give a shout out to all you guys who did like the video over the weekend. YouTube algorithm has been a pain in the ass, and I've been getting, I think, a little bit downvote brigaded because people get bored and feel the need to be haters sometimes. But I do appreciate all you guys. I think that was the second most liked video in channel history over the weekend, which at week 11 of the NFL, it does mean a lot. And of course, you know, unfortunately, I went through and like, I think it's behind an old Pete video that we had done, but not a lot of videos of me and Pete previously on the channel. So I appreciate all you guys who did hit that like button, and please do keep doing that here. Again, the NBA channel, similar process over there, except I make my own projections for NBA. It's been great to see the growth over there on my Splash Play Bets channel. But I do want to make sure I'm paying enough attention to the NFL channel, with the schedule always being a little bit of a moving target. But I do appreciate you guys who did hit that like button, and let's keep doing it again if you can. That'd help me battle that evil YouTube algorithm. But here, let's get into stochastic data. We got Ashton Jeanty, 19.4 projection, your top projected guy in the slate. And Stochastic just updated their showdown projection, so you can see 5 minutes ago. So I'm surprised to see this be the case with Ashton Jeanty. You know, that said, he does have one of the better workloads in football at running back. 19.2 intended touches, 3.2 of which are inside the red zone, 1.4 of which are inside the 10-yard line. Target share for him is okay, 3.3 a game. But Jeanty, certainly a lot of touchdown equity going against a Cowboys team that's defense is not very good. Really, before we get too deep into the game, one thing I want to say in terms of how I'm viewing this right away before we get into all the data and see where things land, you know, basically me with how bad the Cowboys defense is on the year, giving up 0.18 EPA per dropback, 0.21 EPA per pass, 0.05 EPA per rush, all towards the bottom part of the league. They're also bad in the red zone, so there's not really any underlying strength for the Cowboys defense, like where, you know, they're good in the short field, means eventually they'll get better, you know, across everywhere else. I want to play the Raiders putting up a lot of points scoring. You know, that said, with Geno Smith and how he has played, struggling under pressure with a negative 0.7 EPA on those plays, that is towards the bad part of the league. And the Cowboys are generating pressure despite their many flaws, despite the fact they are a bad pass defense and a bad run defense. They are creating pressure, 31% of dropbacks, hurrying the QB on 15%, sacking the QB on 8%. That creates volatility. So Geno, a guy that drops back a good amount. Dallas, a team that creates pressure, that creates the volatility in it, where if the passing game, if the Raiders scoring a lot of points is highly owned, I think you want to consider Cowboys defense a little bit more than people will, you know, in a 50-point total game. But it all depends on how the data looks right now and what we get. And if we get Ashton Jeanty a little bit more, the change is what I thought the math might be, which would be like Brock Bowers stacked up with Geno coming up a lot naturally. Jeanty at a 10K salary. It looks like one of the better values on the slate as well. I imagine he's going to be in a lot of data, or a lot of the lineups here with stochastic data. Dak Prescott, a 19.31 projection, just 0.04 behind Ashton Jeanty. So definitely a crowded top four here with Jeanty, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Javonte Williams. All of these guys are within 0.4 of each other. Brock Bowers also within 1 point. We don't usually see the projections this crowded up top, where your top five are all 1 fantasy point away. So that does mean the captain ownership should be interesting today, should be flatter than it usually is. But Dak Prescott, he's on the thumbnail today. I find it hard to avoid him on the slate going against a Raiders defense that is much better versus the run, defending the run, than they are defending the pass. A 0.09 EPA per dropback allowed is what the Raiders defense has given up, 0.1 EPA per pass. For comparison, negative 0.07 EPA per rush. So I talk about a team that's stuffing the run 23% of the time. That is a good number of this Raiders defense. Tackle for loss, 16%. Even Jonathan Taylor, you know, when he went against the Raiders earlier this year, he had a massive fantasy score because he scored a bunch of touchdowns in that game. But he really didn't have his best yardage performance here. That's sort of what the Raiders do, where, you know, you get the ball downfield, you get in a position to score against them. That's it. But against the run, they have, you know, been pretty strong. Red zone, same thing. Negative 0.3 EPA would actually be one of the better red zone run defenses in football right now. For the Raiders, I think they're a strong team overall against the run. So I'm at least into Javonte Williams, but certainly the pass game here. I think with Dak Prescott going to be well played, and certainly one where it fits the advanced analytics. It'll fit just basic DVP matchups. The Raiders defense, it is a better matchup to go to the QB to go to the pass game than it is to the run game. Shout out Jenna for the kind chat here. You've earned a lot of respect around the industry because your hard work every day. I know I appreciate it. Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate that. Of course, it's a woman giving a nice compliment here out of I think we have 1% female viewership, but thank you for that. And shouts all the guys too, but it's always nice to hear good things, especially, when we are crossing between, I feel like women get underserved in the DFS and betting space. So I'm glad it's a safe space despite all the rampant misogyny that's on the channel. But shout out, Jenny. You always are a kind person. I appreciate it. And fade the RBs, win all the money. I think that's how a lot of people are going to play it. I think people are going to want to play the pass games more, but we'll keep talking about it here. Dak Prescott, again, looks really good to me. I think a very strong play in the spot. That said, what's the ownership? If it is a little bit high, I think go to Javonte here with the projection being not that far off and Javonte being cheaper. But if I had to guess right now with the salary being cheaper and the projections being this close, I think we're going to get more Javonte, get more Brock Bowers, and then a mix of Genty, Prescott, and CeeDee Lamb up top. But we'll see in a minute. CeeDee Lamb, 19.1 projection. The big thing for him is that it's not a man defense heavy matchup. CeeDee Lamb has been a man defense killer. The 33% target per out run rate. For comparison, Pickens at 20, Jake Ferguson's at 18. But the Raiders are playing man defense 68% of the time, which is a pretty high number relative to league average. So CeeDee Lamb, the fact he gets targeted less versus zone, only a 22.5% target rate, again, in comparison to that 1/3 target per out run rate that he has versus man. Pickens is at 25% versus zone. Ferguson is at 25. I think you are more live to be able to fade CeeDee Lamb than you normally would want to. With the fact that CeeDee Lamb is getting 9 targets a game. Pickens, the workload is a bit elevated, I think, on the season with 8 targets a game because of that time that he had when CeeDee Lamb was banged up. But for CeeDee Lamb, I think at 11K, maybe people don't play him enough because the salary is pretty high and you have a lot of guys projecting the same range. I think you'll get more Javonte naturally because that projection's so close, only 0.16 away. Dak Prescott, think you're going to get more of a little bit cheaper. Ashton Genty, think you'll get more of as your top projected guy and a little bit cheaper than CeeDee Lamb. If that makes him a good tournament play, then let's go CeeDee Lamb's way. But as it is right now, I think he comes up the least, and I think he is the most live to kind of fade and work around and try to play Dak with Pickens, Dak with Ferguson, knowing those guys, if they hit their massive ceilings, they hurt CeeDee Lamb, and also they make it so Dak Prescott can make it in a lineup, whether it is his captain or in the flex. Feel like I just take my NBA DFS winnings and donate to NFL. It's so frustrating. I had a pretty good NFL week this week, mostly because I lucked into a lot of Bijan. I wanted to play Drake London, wanted to play Atlanta a little bit more against that Carolina defense, because it seemed like people were really thinking they were a good secondary. And as the EPA metrics that I always talk about here for Sports Info Solutions, full credit to them. Great data site if you want to pay for your professional level data. I think for me, I lucked into that, but Jaylen Warren getting hurt, a lot of the chalk. I mean, I think that was one of the worst chalk slates in a while, where if you went down anybody who was like a 20% plus player in that range, it was all bad. So that's NFL for you. It's been a lot of good chalk in the NFL this year, but when that variance hits the other way, people lose money. And it sucks, Chris, but all you can do is ultimately keep doing the work as best you can, be responsible at your bankroll and all that. And I was talking about here with the NFL, NBA crossover, if you're following me with both sports or you're just playing them, however you're playing them, just be mindful of your bankroll, because I do think the losses add up more. When you go in a cold run, you feel it more. And I say that for myself as much as anybody else, and that's that. Yeah, CMC and Trey was good. I did not play as much CMC because I just didn't think I needed to get above the field on him. But Trey McBride was in a lot of my lineups. I had a ton of Michael Wilson. That was a crazy result. I did make my case for, if you think Marvin Harrison sucks, play Michael Wilson, because the opportunity is going to be the same. Holy shit, I did not expect it to work out. For the most receiving yards this year, Michael Wilson put up yesterday. But 2 30-plus point scorers in that Jacoby Brissett stack with very little touchdowns as well. Weird game. Brock Bowers at number 5 here, 8K salary. I think he gets into every lineup no matter what you're doing tonight. Love the matchup for Brock Bowers. And this is what sucks sometimes, is Brock Bowers makes all the sense in the world as a matchup play going against a Cowboys team that gives up a very high 16% target rate to tight ends, inefficient versus the slot as well, with a 0.4 EPA there. And that's where Bowers is getting a good amount of targets as well. I think it's a smash spot for Brock Bowers. The price tag at 8K is like bafflingly low for him as well, given the fact that he played 50 plus snaps last week, seemingly. Jacoby Myers gone, got more work. Michael Mayer got less. That's good stuff to see for Brock Bowers and sort of the concerns we've had to start the year. I don't see how Brock Bowers fails, but I think with this 8K salary and this 18.3 projection, he gets into like every lineup possible. So it's brutal for Brock Bowers because like he's a great play, but now he's a great play that literally everybody will be on because they love Brock Bowers and he's super cheap and he's facing the Cowboys. And that's that. Yeah, Bowers at 8K, Ferguson at 7.4 is wild. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I think it's a good match for Ferguson. Certainly, he's had a ceiling. There's one point where he was like, what, the best tight end in fantasy for a while. You're talking about a difference of 8 fantasy points. I mean, 7.5, let's say, a little bit more than that. Between Bowers and Ferguson, it's a massive difference. It's going to fade the San Francisco and Arizona game, and you trust the Sims with promo code SPLASH. That's good. That's what the Sims are for. And Robert Griff III has always been, I think, a very smart football guy in terms of how he approaches DFS and best ball. I do think for you guys out there, of course, you can see the promo code here for Stochastic. Promo code SPLASH over there gets you 15% off. Only deal they have going right now. So please support the show and get yourself some money off. Playing with the Sims is a really important part of the process just to know how good lineups look according to data and all that. And especially if you're following these videos, getting your hands on it, I think looks pretty good. Do we like Williams and Jency to score? Dak 2+? Okay, there's a lot of fucking questions. I don't hate any of those takes, but that's way too much for a free chat. But yeah, you're fine. Bet whatever you want. If you want to bet guys scoring today, I think you're probably gonna get juiced to the gills because everybody's expecting a shootout here. It's 50-point total. But certainly the matchup, Dallas passing game, all good. Raiders, whatever you want to go in their offense, as long as they don't totally stall out because Gino shits the bed. All good as well. Top values here, and you can see guys like Geno Smith, not too far off the top projected guys. Pickens a little bit further away. Tucker much further away. Ferguson and Brandon Aubrey dead close to each other at 10.5 fantasy points, but pretty good gap between them and the top projected guys. Top values right now, Dylan Labe, who I think was inactive the last couple games. I know he had 0 snaps last game. 0 the last 2 games. He's getting a projection from Stochastic here. Doesn't seem like the kind of play you want to get much of, but with Jency, probably getting into a lot of lineups. Some theoretical leverage for Labe, and more so Raheem Mostert, who actually has been playing just shy of 10 snaps a game. Hunter Lukey, never a fun click, but in these showdowns, I feel like you always have to say his name out loud. Say his name, and he appears. Hunter Lukey, $400 here. 0.94 fantasy points. He and Dylan Labe both coming up a little bit here. Neither really compelling plays. But Lupke at least is active most weeks. Played 5 snaps the last time the Cowboys played before their bye week. Just gonna make gestures. Sorry to the podcast listeners, but whatever. He's a player. Jack Bech played 14 snaps last week, just an increase for him with Jacoby Myers out of town. Not enough to feel good about. Bigger increases for Dante Thornton. Trey Tucker also saw 60 snaps last game. Bowers got out there a lot, played 50 plus snaps. Mayer playing 35 plus. So Jack Bech, showdown at 1K, you can play him, but he really has been nothing special in the workload for him. Behind Lockett even. Lockett was at, I believe, 37 snaps, something like that. Lockett was at 34 last week. Bech was at 14, so they clearly favor Lockett. Box score-wise, saw more targets for Lockett. But certainly Bech, people want to play Lockett. Leverage, I guess, theoretically for Bech if he does play well and takes some snaps away from Lockett. Brock Bowers, no surprise here at that 8K salary. He is a top value. I think he's going to get into like 80% of lineups tonight, probably practically more like 70, 75. Too good of a matchup, too good of a price tag, too good of a projection. Brock Bowers, hopefully that sums it up quickly. Tyler Lockett, 3,400, again, played 30-plus snaps last week. Seemingly, the team trusts him, even though it was only his first week on the roster, basically. Not a very exciting play, but the Cowboys are dog shit enough everywhere and really inefficient. Going against the slot, Lockett has gotten 23 slot targets this year, including his Tennessee time, only 4 out wide. So he's your primary slot guy here. Bowers will also take some slot shares away. But I would say if you're not, especially if you're playing like a Cowboys 5-1 or something and you were fading Bowers, going to Lockett be logical. But I think just anytime you're not playing Bowers, more Mayer, more Lockett makes sense to me, because if Bowers somehow doesn't get the low A dot targets that he can yak, like crazy, I think that you probably see more going Lockett and Mayer's way, just the way that these guys run routes, where Thornton's more of a downfield target. Trey Tucker does get some close to line of scrimmage stuff. He's only at 8.7 air yards per target, but Yeah, I think that if Bowers fails, that just means like the middle area of the field. It could also be Geno sucks, but I think it could be mostly the middle area of the field is open more for Lockett and for Mayer. That's your top five. Geno not too far off as a value play. Ashton Jency not too far off. It's going to be crowded, I think, ownership-wise. But let's see what we got here. Stochastic does not have their data on the normal page, so let's go to their data hub page instead over here. What's going on with their ownership today? But your top owned plays right now, according to Stochastic data, number one, Dak Prescott. Let me pull the banner here so you can see this better. Okay, scroll down. I can't scroll myself fully away here. But Dak Prescott, 49% ownership overall, 11% at captain. Very chalky play today. Not as chalky as some other people looks like we'll see in a moment, especially at captain. Brock Bowers coming up a lot at captain. But Dak Prescott, people want to play the Dallas passing attack. Raiders pass defense, worse than the run defense. It all makes sense to play Dak Prescott. Besides, what I fear is even more ownership than Stochastic's giving him right now with the 49% overall. And wait, is this overall or is this... I think this has to be the overall. So it's 49% overall. That's got to be higher. But 11% in cap is what they're saying. 49% overall, which means about 40% at flex. I think he gets like 60, but you have enough good plays in the range, maybe not. Javonte Williams, 42% ownership, 11% at captain. Very similar looking play to Dak Prescott. If I were going to fade a Cowboy today and just take, loss of projection and see what I could do, it'd probably be Javonte Williams. He's been pretty good on the year, 0.12 EPA per run, a positive EPA for a guy who's averaging 19 intended touches a game is pretty good. 4.2 red zone opportunities as well, 2.3 inside the 10-yard line. Targets are also pretty good at 3.9 a game, but I think this might be a game where Dallas just wins through the air. Again, the red zone defense for the Raiders is really good versus the run. It's good versus the pass too, but overall they're bad versus the pass. So I think you see more through the air, and Javonte's had a lot more floor games, I feel like, than other Cowboys. That might not be fair because Pickens and Ferguson have had some down weeks lately. I just don't think the passing game overall is going to have a down week. I think there's a chance the run game does. Geno Smith, 41.4% ownership expected, 10% at captain. It's a lot for Geno here. Do you think that he's a compelling, very volatile play today? If he were less owned, I would like him more. The fact that he's highly owned here makes me think that fading him, playing pass catchers or RBs, or just playing Cowboys D would be a move. But as I said before, the Cowboys D gets a lot of pressure. They're terrible. When they don't get home, like, things are going to go badly. But Geno can't handle pressure well. You might run the chance here that the Cowboys have been so bad this year. And, like, what happens is when a team is so bad in data, like advanced analytics stuff, really any analytic, like, at a certain point, they're going to find their depth a little bit. And the Cowboys have been bottom of the league in everything. A spot against Geno Smith, like, if he's going to be chalky, playing a little bit more Cowboys D, I think, would not be a crazy thing to do. And just try to capture them getting to closer to average as opposed to like total bottom of the barrel. Ashton Jency, 41% ownership overall, 11.4% at captain. Think he's a good play as well. There's a lot of good plays today, but Jency going against the Cowboys here. Certainly the Raiders would love to keep the Cowboys off the field because their defense is not going to be able to stop shit. So I think if you give the ball to Jency, your hope is that you can kill some clock, stay in some drives. So Jency, I think a good play at captain, good play in the flex. And again, the ownership is not crazy in the projections because of how flat these guys look right now in the data. And Brock Bowers, only 39% overall. I do not buy that. I think he gets into a ton of lineups. If I had to guess, these are low on Dak, low on Bowers, probably high on Geno. I don't think people think Geno is good, and I think they're willing to play the pass catchers without Geno. But that'd be my guess from the ownership. I think the ownership, if I had to guess, it'll adapt. It always does as the day goes on, but I think it's going to tighten up in a way that it's not currently right now. But 19% Bowers at captain. He would be our highest owned captain, it looks like. So Bowers, chalky at captain, not chalky in the flex. But I think he's going to be higher owned in both. I mean, captain seems about right. 19, 20, maybe a shot at getting to 25. But that seems lofty. I think this is okay. This overall number, though, he's going to get in the flex way more if I had to guess. Lockett could be a captain play. I think that people are going to play this more than they should. You're now the second or third person to mention Lockett too excitedly. Again, Lockett was out there for 30-plus snaps. That's all good. PPR-wise, I get it. I don't know what kind of touchdown equity Lockett has, but it does seem like 2% captain ownership, 26% for the field overall. I think if he stays at that ownership, that's fair. But sometimes when I see people, and I haven't watched all the content around the industry today, but I know Stochastic, I watched a little bit of the stream with Greg and Laffy this morning. Some people talking about Lockett in there as well. I think the public slide, and again, no disrespect to you guys, but like a lot of people talking about it usually means the guy ends up being played just a little bit more. An old version will score 7 PPR points. Let's jam him. He's out there a lot, and the pass catching options, Bowers is going to get played, but Lockett is theoretical leverage against Bowers. I get it. I think it's maybe a little bit too enthusiastic for Lockett right now. But let's go to ETR's side of the aisle here, as we always try to do. There's 2 important data providers out there. There's a few more sites like Run the Sims. Obviously, RotoGrinder still has some fans. I'm sure there's other ones I'm missing out there. No respect to them. But there's a lot out there. Ultimately, I think Stochastic and ETR, what most of the field's going to play. So we're going to try to run a cash game lineup here. It looks like the Sims are not out for ETR yet. So let me just refresh to make sure. Yeah, no Sims yet. So we'll run a Stochastic Sim, not an ETR Sim. Let's quickly just add a decimal point to the projection. So it'll run a cash game optimal lineup. It does look like ETR has Dak Prescott. It has Dak number 1, CeeDee Lamb number 2, Javonte number 3, Jency number 4. So a little bit of a difference here. Still fairly flat projections, but definitely more of a favoring of Dak. So ETR users will get Dak a little bit more. Let's see what we get in the optimal lineups overall. And guys, if you get any value to this video, again, I appreciate the likes. Let's keep doing it here because the YouTube algorithm is like a frosty bitch sometimes. And I appreciate your support a bunch here. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Of course, I do these videos for Monday and Thursday showdown slates. Friday, the main slate. You get me breaking down the main slate in the same process here, along with the premium video going game by game, looking at all the advanced analytics and showing you guys the sheet I give you access to. But please show some love. Subscribe at the like button. Check out Stochastic, 15% off all their data, all their tools. Links down in the description, or use the promo code SPLASH over there when you sign up. It's the only deal they have going right now, so it supports the show. Half the money you pay to them comes back to me, and it's been a nice couple months. I'm hoping we can keep the momentum going here, so please help me keep doing that here so I can keep doing this shit as long as we can. And last but not least, join the Discord. You want access to my data and all of that. You can get it for yourself for $5. Of course, my sheet comes out Saturday afternoons, and you can play with it, look at yourself. All the things that we do with sheets. So check it out. Let's support the show. $5. Please join the channel if you can. All right. But if you're going to do anything for free, just hit that like button, please. Let's keep fighting the good fight. All right. Your optimal lineup here, according to ETR data. Bowers captain. Not surprised about that. Dak Prescott. Javonte Williams. Geno Smith. Brandon Aubrey makes it with a little bit of a lower projection than Stochastic has. Tyler Lockett as well. So Lockett in your cash game lineup. I do think the public sentiment is in favor of Lockett. He's a name people know and have liked for a lot. We saw a chat before. He's played with Russ, or he's played with the Seattle guys. I guess Russ doesn't factor in here, but he's played with the Seattle guys, and how it's a Pete Carroll team where they're giving him a lot of work. I get it. But when I see some of these guys in cash game lineup, it just makes me like them a little bit less. And I would say for Geno and Lockett in particular, and Javonte, like, I think I can move away from these guys and still take Bowers and Dak and feel good about that. Overall, in these top 25 lineups, you're getting 100% Brock Bowers. Not a surprise with that very nice salary. For him, he has got, again, an 8K salary on DraftKings. It works as a captain, feels good in the flex. I think for Brock Bowers, he's going to be a player that if you fade him, you'll get away from a large portion of the field, even though fading him will not feel good against a Cowboys team where it feels like he should be hitting, that ceiling he had a couple of weeks ago kind of spot. Tyler Lockett is at 88% of lineups. This is a lot of Tyler Lockett in our optimals. Again, things he basically means that he gets overplayed. The reason that we look at the optimal lineups here, projection-based builds, is because you want to understand what projections will drive people to. And these lineups, people are going to end up using Tyler Lockett a lot as your value savings to cram in your Dak, to cram in your Jency, your Brock, your Geno, your Brandon Aubrey at 5,400. So that's really the main thing to keep in mind here. Is like, you might like Lockett as a play. You might think he's the best play. You watched the film and thought, man, he's back and sprier than ever. Ultimately, he's going to get overplayed today because projections view him as the top value guy, at least with ETR data. Overall, actually, it's player stacks. Nothing to note here, but you are getting a few more Raiders heavy lineups than I would have thought. And overall, you're getting 4-2 Raiders and 52% of these top 25 optimal lineups, 3-3 Raiders and 24. So overall, 76% of lineups have at least 3 Raiders. And I do think there's worlds where a Cowboys 5-1 wins, but we are not getting that naturally at all. In the projections, we're getting a ton of Raiders stuff. So the projections are going to make people not consolidate towards 1 or 2 Raiders, because that's only coming up 4% here. You're getting Raiders onslaughts at 20%. You're getting 3-3 Raiders, 4-2 Raiders. Just given, I mean, the Cowboys defense is really bad. I get it. But, Cowboys are a 3.5-point favorite on the road. I imagine the Raiders stadium is going to feel a lot like a Cowboys home game. I think Cowboys ass kicking kind of an appealing option to get to here. Cowboys could be a fun flex lever to pull. I mean, that's what I've been trying to say. So, I think the fact that they get a lot of pressure and the fact that Geno struggles under pressure, and now it seems like people are going to be playing a lot of Geno and just Raiders heavy stuff. I think playing the Cowboys mostly kicking ass / giving up a few touchdowns to one or two guys and play a Cowboys dominant build. I don't think that's a bad move here. But let's run a sim on Stochastic next. Again, ETRs aren't ready yet. They're supposed to be ready at 12 every day, but that has not been the case a lot of days lately. I'm sure they'll be ready later today. Check out ETR Solver. It is a great product, even though, there's always little quirks with every product. But check it out. Link in the description. Promo code SPLASH. Same thing over there. If you want to use that product, which is half optimizer, half sim. Part of the reason I got some Bijan yesterday was running lineups through ETR with my game stack rules, stuff like that. And I wanted to get Drake London. It started giving me London and Bijan. I was like, oh, let's try some of this. So that ended up helping out my day a lot with also being right with the field, a little bit above it on Jalen Warren. But again, lots of great tools out there. Stochastic and ETR is the two that I'd personally vouch for. But use something. Don't just just click stuff. Just put your hands in the air and wave them wildly and try to build a lineup. It's usually not the way. But here on Stochastic, we're building 50,000 lineups, having them compete 10,000 times. And we'll see what the top ROI lineups and players are here. Coming up in an hour and a half, you also get my NBA stream for the day, even though it is a football day. I do still cover the NBA Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. on the @SplashPlayBets channel. There's also a playlist here on YouTube if you want to check it out. And if you're watching on Twitter, same thing. You'll see the stream come up through there. So check that out at 2 p.m. Should be a fun NBA slate. Lots of guys out, which I feel like is half the joy of NBA. Your top ROI lineup, according to Stochastic data, just shy of a 500% ROI, according to them. CeeDee Lamb at captain. Cowboys D makes it. Oh, you know what? Dallas 5-1. Here we go. Dallas onslaught. CeeDee Lamb, Cowboys D, Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams, Ryan Flournoy. He does still get targeted a lot relative to a guy that's not in the mix as much. How many snaps did Flournoy play? I think Flournoy's been good, relatively. $45 snaps last game. Pickens played 61. Lamb played 59. It's a lot of Flournoy. Jalen Tolbert played 7. Turpin played 13. So that's Flournoy's job as wide receiver 3. Yeah, he might be an undervalued play. That's a lot of snaps for Flournoy. And he's a young guy. He's not getting like a rookie bump because he's been on the team for a year. Maybe more than that at this point. But, bye week, maybe they get him more work. But Flournoy, Tyler Lockett, rounding this lineup here. It's a Dallas 5-1. And the one is Tyler Lockett. So I guess it's pretty unique on the Raiders side. Number 2, CeeDee Lamb, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers makes this one. Cowboys D, Raiders D, and Trey Tucker. So both defenses make it. Defense is always going to be underplayed in a game total where there's 50 implied points between both teams. So always makes sense to me to play defense in those spots. I think you like defense a little bit less when it's like a 40-point total because then everybody jams in defense a little bit too much ownership. But another CeeDee Lamb captain at number 2. Number 3, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, Dak Prescott, George Pickens, Kevontae Turpin, who is getting iced in terms of workload, but I guess could break a return touchdown as well. Raiders D makes it. So that's a 3-3 build with Genty at captain. You are fading Geno. You're fading... fading Lamb. Fading Lockett. Number 4, CeeDee Lamb, captain again. So all your top 5 are Lamb and Ashton Genty. CeeDee Lamb, Ashton Genty, Cowboys D, Dak Prescott, Kevontae Turpin, Ryan Flournoy, Dallas 5-1. I think this Turpin usage makes more sense than this one, where if you're playing him, play him with the defense, I think. Here we're playing Kevontae Turpin with Cowboys D. Our one bring back from the Raiders is Ashton Genty, so we're fading the entire passing game for the Raiders, which I don't think people will do in this matchup with the Cowboys. Geno projects well. Bowers projects well. People want to play Tyler Lockett. Trey Tucker is still going to be a viable alternative that people try to get some leverage on Bowers and Lockett with. So playing none of them is certainly an approach. Number 5, Ashton Genty, Geno Smith, Javonte Williams, Michael Mayer. So a direct fade on Bowers there. Raiders D makes this one. Trey Tucker makes it a Raiders 5-1 with the one Cowboy coming back, Javonte. So a full fade on the Cowboys pass game, which does have the better matchup today. You're seeing what it takes to get unique, at least in the eyes of Stochastic, I think. Playing some defenses, playing some Kevontae Turpin types. Definitely some onslaughts, too. 3 of the top 5 lineups are onslaught builds. Ian Thomas, our barely playing Raiders tight end, does make it with a 22% ROI. If I had to guess for Ian Thomas, the main reason is that he has a $900 captain salary. So the fact you can put him at captain and fit in all the studs probably represents the few outcomes where Bowers, Dak, Lamb, Jency, whatever combo of all the pay up options all hit. Still, you probably don't want to play an Ian Thomas guy at captain, but it just is something that comes up in the data, really, to represent that there is a pretty big upside for all the star players. Cowboys D. We got captain here, 10% ROI at number 2. So this is all captain plays up top. Seems like getting a low-owned captain the Sims like for the positive ROIs. Jack Besh captain at number 3, 8% ROI. Again, at that $1,500 captain salary, seems like the similar thing to Ian Thomas, where you're just capturing the fact that the Raiders are playing a shitty Cowboys defense and the fact that these guys are cheap enough that you can cram in a bunch of star players. A Raiders D at captain, 5,400 to 6% ROI. So all your positive ROI players are like really not ones you want to play. With Ian Thomas at captain, Cowboys D at captain, Jack Besh at captain, and Raiders D at captain. And just behind these guys is Brock Bowers at captain, negative 2.5% ROI. It is a negative number, but it's still the 5th highest ROI, and that directional accuracy is what you're looking for. Overall exposures, these are all flex. We got Javonte Williams, 47% overall, Fields at 42. So I was thinking in my brain, get a little bit less Javonte. Stochastic saying get more, perhaps because the Cowboys passing game is going to be a little bit overowned in the Sims opinion. Ashton Jency, 47% exposure, Fields at 40. So favorable stand on both running backs in this game, in line with what our guy Robert Griffin III was saying earlier on. Actually, no, you're saying both RBs, but at this point, both RBs being played a lot by the Sim. If you play less, that's one way to get different from the Sim people out there, as long as you're still playing, good lineups. Brock Bowers, 46% exposure in the flex, Fields at 38. So you are getting more Bowers in the flex. We'll see if we get more at captain. Geno Smith, 45% exposure in the flex, Fields at 43. Positive stand on him. And Dak Prescott, a little bit of a fade, negative 10% leverage on Dak Prescott in the flex. Fields going to own him at 47%. Stochastic wants you to get 37. Highest owned captains, Brock Bowers, you are with the field at 19%. So Bowers coming in above the field in Stochastic data. Seems like they think he's a little bit underowned. And yeah, that's it. So you're getting Bowers overall, 19% plus 46. So about 65% exposure to Brock Bowers overall. Him being in 2/3 of lineups. That's probably about the field he'll play. I'd be cool putting him in 75% of my lineups, whether it's captain or the flex. Ashton Jency, 18% exposure, Fields at 12. So 2 Raiders are highest exposed captains in Stochastic's top 150 lineups. CeeDee Lamb, 16% exposure, Fields at 12.4. So positive leverage here for CeeDee Lamb at captain in Stochastic data. They're a little bit low on Javonte Williams at captain, 9% there. Fields at 11. And Geno Smith, 7% exposure captain, Fields at 9. But you're getting more of Cowboys D, more of Brandon Aubrey, more of Trey Tucker. A lot less of Dak. Big fade on Dak at captain. And at the flex too. It's just less Dak overall. So the Sim's skeptical of Dak today with whatever his ownership's going to be. Raiders D here coming in with 17% leverage in the flex. So Stochastic expects the field to play 10%. You're getting 27. Cowboys D, you're getting 9% leverage. Fields at 18, you're getting 27. Brock Bowers, 8% leverage. This is in the flex, 46% exposure. Fields at 38, your 3rd highest leverage guy. Jency, you're getting 6% more than the field, getting him in about 47% of your lineups. And the Fields at 40. And Ashton Jency at captain, 18% exposure. Fields at 12. Biggest fades in Stochastic data. Pickens in the flex. You're only playing 19%. The Fields at 30. So big stand away from Pickens. And then Lamb, you're a little bit low on the flex, but up on at captain. But really the Dallas passing game, the Sim willing to move away from it a little bit more. Which, I get. Dak Prescott, negative 10% leverage at flex. We saw that already. Daniel Carlson, the Raiders kicker. Brandon Aubrey, very public play on these showdown slates. He's coming up sim-wise as well. Playing the oppo kicker. Always a way to try to get some leverage when that is the case for a chalky kicker on the other side. More Dallas touchdowns, also a way to fade, Brandon Aubrey at his ownership. But Aubrey is always pretty highly owned. Daniel Carlson, nobody really cares about. And the price tags are similar enough that I think playing Carlson and expecting the Raiders to be able to move the ball, but maybe stalling out on drives because they're really not that good of a team. It's one way to play the Raiders, kind of having success, but not all the success that people are expecting based on the ownership data. George Pickens, you're fading a captain as well. Wow, only 1% captain exposure for Pickens compared to the field's 9%. So big fades on Pickens in the flex and at captain. And Dak Prescott at captain, you're also getting negative 7% leverage on. Only 5% exposure overall, fields at 11%. So Stochastic giving you more at captain of CeeDee Lamb, but less of Pickens, less of Dak. Less of Ferguson at captain, and less of Javonte at captain. So really the only one they want you to be about the field on of the Dallas guys is Cowboys D and Brandon Aubrey and CeeDee Lamb. We'll do a hand build here, and we'll call it a day. Let me refresh in this tab. Let's see what we can do. And of course, my 3 ways to get unique here based on what we've seen. I think you guys have some ideas. The sim, I think, kind of painted a pretty good picture as well. We'll do that coming up next. But guys, again, hit that like button. Subscribe goes a long way from here. Just one dude showing you my gambling Mondays and Thursdays, along with Fridays for the main slate and NFL every day, Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern for the NBA. So please show some love if you can. Help me out. I appreciate all the kind words. But, let's keep hitting that like button so we can keep the showdowns propped up because, boy, the fucking algorithm has been killing me. These Monday and Thursday videos. Must plays videos. Again, shout out to you guys. Getting seen by a lot. You guys are hitting the like button. These ones, we need the love. So please click, click, click. All right. Top play here for me. Who do I put in first? And I like Bowers at captain for sure. Does feel like a very chalky bitch move. So I'm going to put Bowers in the flex for now. I do think Bowers makes a winning lineup at that price tag, 8K. Really hard for me to fade him. Of course, anything that makes me uncomfortable is probably going to make the field uncomfortable. That's what you should remember anytime you're building lineups. But I'm going to put Bowers in the flex for now, and we'll try to get unique at captain, hopefully. I do think Cowboys D, putting them in here, they were simming out well. I do think they can get to Geno, and I think really not playing Geno is going to be my way to get a little bit different here. Do I want to play the Raiders having success, or do I want to play the Raiders getting their ass kicked? It's sort of the question here. Sim hates Pickens. I think if I do that, Sim hates Pickens, Sim hates Dak, the Sim hates everybody besides CeeDee Lamb. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys captain. I think it should be CeeDee Lamb if I'm trying to please the sim. Lamb is not my favorite captain play, though. I will say that. I'm going to try to build my way first. I'm going to go Dak captain. We're going to fade Lamb and Javonte. We're going to go Pickens and Ferguson in the flex. Leaves us 5,800. So we could play Brandon Aubrey, but we're not going to do that. We're going to try to get leverage against the higher-owned Aubrey with Daniel Carlson. And if I had to guess, with Aubrey projected for 31% ownership, Carlson 25%, I think it's probably more like 35-20. There's people like playing Aubrey a lot on these slates. So we're going to run a sim right now in a Dak Prescott, Brock Bowers, Cowboys D, Pickens, Ferguson, Carlson team. Negative 26%. At least it wins sometimes. It's hard for a captain to hit as the one with the 5 from the other team being flex. Like, the data doesn't really support that too often. I agree that feels good. I do think, I don't know. People are going to play a lot of Raiders, so maybe the field won't play that as much. All right, what do I do here? I'll give it one more try to get positive because we're under 40 minutes. All right, you know what? Let's keep Dak captain. The sim loves CeeDee Lamb. Actually, you know what? Let's flip it. Here's what the sim wants. It wants captain CeeDee Lamb. Oh, sim, here you go. Here's what you want, little baby. Here, take your CeeDee Lamb, captain. We got Dak Prescott. We got Cowboys D. 54-50 here. I think Lockett gets overplayed. Let's see if we can put in Trey Tucker. But that's now 2 pass catchers from the Raiders. Feels like at that point, Geno might make the lineup. So I don't know if I love that. Can't afford to get to Ashton Genty at this point, right? I guess I could if I play somebody dog shit. So we're playing Bowers, Cowboys D, Dak Prescott, Genty, Lamb captain. Really don't think the sim likes anybody enough at this price tag. You know, they can get to Genty. Fuck. All right, Cowboys 5-1 with Bowers in the flex. What else can we do? I feel like Javonte maybe, and then we have a little bit more money. We have 1,100 left. We could play Jack Besh at 1K. Probably not leaving enough salary on the table would be my guess here. But I think Besh doesn't have a high enough upside where, like, Geno doesn't need to make a lineup with Besh and Bowers. Oh, wow. 105% ROI. It's much higher than I thought. So the team here, Lamb captain, which the sim does love. Bowers are one of 2 Raiders. Cowboys D, Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams, Jack Besh. So mostly a Cowboys ass kicking, a little bit of production for Bowers, maybe a touchdown for Jack Besh. I think that fits the total and how Geno would make a winning lineup. So I'm cool with that. Since we all love Bowers, Mayers, or Ian Thomas, or locks to score with first CD, that's definitely possible. That is gambling in a nutshell for you guys. But I think we built a good lineup here, at least based on what Stochastic data thinks. What do you think? Go play on the Sims, find out for yourself. I'm going to give you guys my 3 ways to get unique here. Before I do, though, please, one last run through all the plugs. Subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. Again, just one dude here doing the best I can to give you guys a little bit of a leg up in NFL, NBA as well, Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. And of course, I do the work as best I can here using Stochastic data, using ETR data, just showing you guys what people will be playing tonight with those 2 very popular sites. But check them both out for yourself. Stochastic 15% off, promo code SPLASH, link in the description. Solver, no money off, but it does, you go there. And then they know I sent you there, but it's a great product too. They're different things. You want more control. Like the Solver is a good tool if you want to just have lineups built well for you. And frankly, Stochastic had another Millie Maker winner yesterday. Like, you could also just use Stochastic and feel pretty good about it. But ETR has had Millie Maker winners this year. Again, I think that's the reason why those 2 are really the leaders. You're kind of seeing it results-wise this year. Not that that's everything. But check out those sites. Link down below if you want to get better at the stuff. Use data, use tools. Is a really important part of the process, even if you still want to hand build. And of course, join the Discord here. $5 to join. You get a premium video every Friday and my data sheet with all the advanced analytics that I talk about, reference here on my videos and on Stochastic. So please do check it out and support the show here. Little click to join. It's on iOS too if you want. I think you have to pay a little bit extra VIG on there because iOS just rips everybody off on the developer side. But get access if you want. All right, 3 ways to get unique. Love playing the defenses today. Again, I really think the Cowboys D, if Geno doesn't hit, it's because the Cowboys D got to him, sacked him a lot, maybe forced him into bad turnover or something like that. But really on these slates where it's like 2 teams that are a little bit sloppy, definitely more on the Raiders side. Yeah, Dak only a 1.7% interception rate. Geno's at 4, and league average is like 2.8, 2.9. So Geno is really like not playing well. Playing into that a little bit more, given the fact that people are going to get Geno naturally a lot in the projection sets, and is building more Raiders heavy stuff in that data. I think is a good move. So defenses, but especially Cowboys defense, I think a nice way to get unique. Number 2, which I usually say number 1, the obvious one. Fading Brock Bowers. Bowers is going to get into a lot of lineups. It's going to move you away from, in my estimate, 70% of the field. Stochastic seems like 50 or so, but at least half the field you'll be moving away from if you don't play Brock Bowers. Love Bowers this matchup. Love Bowers as a player. Think he is so fun. Think that we're going to hopefully get more of that Jacksonville upside as opposed to the downside we saw last time out for the Raiders, but that doesn't matter. Like the matchup stuff matter less than what the ownership is. Bowers going to get owned a lot, so play him with the field, but really be mindful of, I think, not cramming him everywhere, even though it does feel good to just lock Brock Bowers and try to solve around the rest of it. 3rd way to get unique. I mean, based on the data, and again, I think based on the matchup too and how people are going to want to play it, just playing more Cowboys. Like, I'm not a Cowboys fan. Before the year, I was really not sold on them, mostly because I thought the entire thing was like a house of cards coming together. Wasn't sold on the offense being good. Definitely wasn't sold on the defense being good. But they have kind of become Bengals East, relative to what people expected. Dak's upside, maybe not as high as some of that. But I think for the Cowboys, look a little bit underplayed for a team that is a pretty big favorite on the road. And the Vegas home field advantage, whatever there is going to be absolutely nil with the Cowboys being such a public national team. And they're in Vegas, like Cowboys in LA, Cowboys in Vegas. Those are spots where you're just going to have a ton of Cowboys fans. So I think playing dominant Cowboys builds, including Cowboys D, Brandon Aubrey too is fine, but you don't have to play him. Play some Cowboys onslaughts, I think is the move, because I think there's a good shot today. I leave the 5-1. Pickett end up playing if Geno gets hurt, but I wouldn't. You still shouldn't play Pickett in your lineups. If you want to downgrade Geno for the chance of a benching risk / injury stuff, given that he has left games, sure, but Pickett's not. You'd never play the backup QB on a slate unless they have like packages like a Taysom Hill. Even then, you probably shouldn't. That's the video, guys. Appreciate all you guys being here. Again, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Come back to the channel here at 2 p.m. I'll also be on Stochastics live before lock today. It's 7:15 p.m. Eastern. So no bathing my child today. In fact, I'll be here bathing you guys in takes and rubbing your nude bodies with information and ownership projections and shit like that. So come watch that at 7:15. But again, hit that like button before you go, guys. I appreciate it. Check me out at 2 p.m. for NBA. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. And let's try to win some money, guys. All right. Bye, guys.